I think one of the reasons why I like the zoo so much is that I like working within the boundaries of a single location. I got into photography to take pictures of my dog Brady. I had a good time doing that and thought I could make it as a pet photographer, but it didn't take long for me to get bored and for Brady to get bored, and so I had to find something else. So I transitioned to other types of photography. I played around with some architectural photography, some slow shutter speeds. I took a workshop on night photography and I really enjoyed that, but I didn't enjoy it enough to go back out when the workshop was over. And it wasn't until I took a people photography workshop where I found my passion. This is the first street photography shot I ever took, and at the time I really didn't know anything about street photography, but to this day, and it's been about almost exactly 10 years, I remember taking this picture and I remember exactly where it was. And the amount of detail in this, which at the time I didn't realize was being captured, and it wasn't until I looked at it later when I saw the woman holding the cookie and she's got some honey sticks in her back pocket, and there's another woman holding a print that she bought, and there's these two dogs interacting. And this is kind of what hooked me on taking pictures of people. I spent a couple years doing street photography. I was serious enough to take a couple workshops. I took my camera on vacation. I took my camera downtown. And I really enjoyed the process, but I became more and more dissatisfied with the results because I wasn't really getting a lot of great shots. And I know it's hard, but I just felt like I needed some sort of vision, and I really didn't know how to actually get one. And it was in 2014 that I picked up this book called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, which is kind of the story of street photography in a way. And what Scott Adams talks about is having a system for success and not a goal. So if my goal was to be a great street photographer, which it was, what's the system that I need to put in place in order to do that? So I decided that my system would be to go out somewhere new every weekend and take photos, and to keep doing that and to keep going somewhere new until there was a place that spoke to me enough that said, go back there. And one of the first places I went was Woodland Park Zoo for their Easter event. And it was literally the first two photos that I took of a little boy wearing an Easter bunny mask that I think was enough for me to want to go back. The challenge was for me to not duplicate the work of other photographers, for example, Gary Winogrand and Rebecca Norris Webb, who had both done books on zoos. Without a particular look or style of my own, I just decided to start taking what I thought would be interesting pictures of people and animals and see where that led me. After I'd collected about 30 or so decent images, I took a bookmaking workshop in Santa Fe with Alex Webb, Rebecca Norris Webb, and David Chicky from Radius Books. When reviewing my prints, they're the ones that pull together the prints where the animals mimic the people in the landscape, or the people acted like animals, or the animals and people weren't quite what they seemed. I'm very grateful for them for their insight to help me narrow my focus. Rebecca also gave me a great tip about going to the zoo in unusual circumstances, like bad weather. She said that the animals would be doing things then that they wouldn't normally do. This got me out of the house on rainy days, and it also led me to become a zoo member and donor, because those gave me access to events after hours where I could see the animals in a different light and a different situation than what I could normally see during the day. I think one of the reasons why I like the zoo so much is that I like working within the boundaries of a single location. I tried visiting other zoos and I just came away empty-handed. It just wasn't practical for me to travel to other zoos like Rebecca did for The Glass Between Us, so I gave myself permission not to. I really like going to the zoo during special events, especially Easter and Halloween. In a way, it feels like cheating because the kids are dressed up and oftentimes they're wearing animal costumes, and I like following them around and seeing if they end up near the animal whose costume they're wearing. But what better time to go, because you're just not going to see that any other day. It isn't just the pictures that keep me coming back to the zoo. I've been going long enough to have been there or heard about when animals pass away, when the babies are born. I've been to orangutan birthday parties. There's just something really comforting about knowing that those animals are there and they're living in the middle of the city, and there are keepers and volunteers and administrative staff who love those animals. I find it very hard to describe my style, even having done this for 10 plus years. The images that I take at the zoo, to me, don't look like anything else I take elsewhere. I'm not someone that captures images that are ethereal or mysterious. I feel like my work is very literal. What I see is what you get. I still find it very difficult to take a really good street photograph. It hasn't gotten any easier in 10 years. I can't tell you how many times I've paid to go to a workshop or spend a day downtown somewhere and come home with nothing. In 2020, I moved away from Seattle, and it was kind of heartbreaking to leave the zoo, especially in a pandemic. When I'd gone the last couple of times, everything was kind of a one-way zone, and I couldn't move around the way I was used to. There were fewer people there, and wearing masks and seeing other people wear masks, it just kind of made me not want to take pictures. So I had to say goodbye to the zoo and kind of end that project, at least for now, until I have a chance to go back. But even if I do go back, there's not any guarantee that I'm going to get a good shot. So I think I'm going to be happy with what I have for now. And, maybe another zoo or another place like that will capture my heart, and I'll have a chance to start something new.